Hey there, and welcome to my basement home gym. Okay, now I know home gym may be a bit of a stretch. It's mostly an unfinished basement with a lot of storage, and I happen to have a treadmill, a bike, and this bench over here. But what I also do have is this set of weight plates left over from, let's say, my more athletic days. So today I'm upgrading my home gym and building a freestanding weight rack. Let's get to it. While you may used to be seeing me work with wood, today I'm trying something a little different than usual. It's called Tinktube. It's a customizable system of metal pipes that come in 4 different colors, and there are tons of different fittings to choose from that basically allow you to connect the pipes in any imaginable way. Plus, there are additional accessories like wheels and feet, essentially allowing you to build anything you want. I'm proud to be partnering up with this local Canadian company from my home province of Quebec, but they also have warehouses in the US and ship across North America right to your door. I'll leave a link down below so you can check them out. So back in the shop, I started by unpacking all the pieces and used some plastic containers to try and keep things organized. Now I decided to go with black pipes and accessories, and I made sure to order a few extra parts just in case I need to adapt my design. And speaking of design, I made a quick mock-up of the weight rack I plan to build so I'd have an idea of where this thing's going and I could estimate the measurements. With all my fittings laid out, I could grab my pipes and start getting ready to make the first cuts. Oh, and by the way, you can also order the tools you'll need like this pipe cutter and the T-handle, which really come in handy. I also ordered a pipe reamer, but I didn't end up using it. Using the pipe cutter is actually really easy. You just turn the knob until the blade contacts the pipe, then rotate the tool around the pipe. I tighten the knob slightly on each turn until eventually about after 8 or 10 revolutions, the pipe was cut. Marking the pipes is also really easy with a pencil. Then you can line up the cutter with that mark. Go around a few times and voila. Okay, so I'm starting by making the base. I'm going to double up these pipes and make the base solid and give it a little extra weight using these parallel connectors. Assembly of the joints is pretty simple. Just place the pipes into the fittings and add the other half, then drop in one of the provided screws and add a nut on the other side. Then use the tool to tighten the screw. After adding another connector on the other end, I grabbed a couple end caps to place on the pipes that won't be connected to anything. I wanted to add leveling feet to stabilize the base, especially to provide side racking, so I'm making these 2-prong feet for extra stability. I used a pair of 90-degree elbows and added some leveling feet, then secured everything with a few screws and nuts. I could then connect the feet to the base, this time using a T-joint fitting. It helps to get the screw started just to hold it all together, then slip in the tube and secure it tightly. Alright, with these parts ready, I'll take them over to the floor to begin assembly. I cut another piece of pipe and loosely added a couple T-joints that I'll use to complete the base. I want my base to be spaced at 36 inches, so after setting my pieces in place, I could slip on the back and tighten the screws to secure it. I then used a 90-degree elbow and some leveling feet to complete the base. Now this has to be one of my favorite fittings from Tinktube. You can adjust it to any angle you need, then lock it in place. I'm going to use these joints to build the upright portion of the rack so I can set the angles that I want. This joint comes in 2 parts, so you first clip on the outer shell, then slip in the second part that gets secured with a screw. Alright, so with the upright portion now erect, I'm going to add some crossbars on the back. It's a little harder to get this fitting on, especially when trying to balance the tube on one knee, but eventually I got it. These will not only help with lateral stability, but also act as pegs to hang my weight plates on, just like you see at the gym. Another end capped here, and then a little test to make sure it fits. It's like it was meant to be. Next, I'm going to add the cradles for the bar and the bench press position. This should be slightly higher than your arms and full extension when you're lying on the bench. I used some 45-degree joints for this, and to make it even more solid, I'll add some reinforcement screws later. Next, I'm going to add a second crossbar at the back for extra weight storage, making this one lower to the ground. Next, I'm going to add the cradles for the upper bar when used as a squat rack. I figured the bar should be just below my shoulder height, around my armpits, so I can lift the bar out of the cradle. I added a couple more 45-degree joints, some short pieces of pipe, and a cap. I did a quick test, and this looks just about right. I'm feeling pretty good about the build so far, but it's a little wobbly. I figured if I added something like this, it should help brace the structure and reduce racking. I did a test with a single bar and I could see that it already made a difference. I'm going to have to take this apart and move it into my basement, so I'll leave it as is for now, but add a second stabilization bar when I do the final assembly. I figured I might need to move the rack around in the basement if I need to make room or something, so I decided to add some casters. They come with a nut that you hammer into the pipe, then thread the caster into the nut. I struggled with this at first, but a little heat on the pipe made it easier to fit the pieces together. I used another intersection joint to attach the wheels, and the idea here isn't for the rack to rest on the wheels, but instead, when I lift the base, the weight will be transferred to the wheels, and I can move it around pretty easily. Okay, so time to move this into the basement and add the final touches. I could just loosen a few key screws and carry the parts off into the basement. After reattaching the parts and leveling the feet, I put my bench in place and loaded up the weights. I did a quick test on the bench press and I felt that the supports were a bit too low for me, so I did a quick adjustment and then secured them as tightly as I could. To make sure they were secure and there wouldn't be any potential accidents, I also added some reinforcement screws on each side. I also added the second lateral stabilization bar that I talked about earlier, and this really helped to make the structure more solid with almost no racking. This thing is plenty solid, let me tell you. Alright, we're done with the build and it's finally time to put this thing to the test. Now I want to point out a few things here. First, I'll say that this structure feels super solid and secure to me. That being said, I'm not a bodybuilder and I'll never lift hundreds of pounds. So this solution may not be appropriate for heavy lifters, but it's great for the average Joe. Second, I haven't lifted weights in a really long time, so please make no judgments on my form or how much I can lift. And third, in case you're wondering how much this build cost, the total cost of materials for this build, including the tools, was about $300 Canadian or approximately $235 US, which is less than the cost of a commercial equivalent. Big thanks again to Tinktube for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check out the link in the description below to check out all of their products and build plans and tutorials. As for me, time to get in shape, I guess. Until next time, thanks for watching, see you soon.